There you have it, folks. My Licorice is alive with Blues for Alice by Charlie Parker. And now, if I haven't said this already, Parker deserves a very prominent place on jazz's Mount Rushmore. Or frankly, there should be a place reserved for Parker on just, well, hey, the musical Mount Rushmore. Blues for Alice was composed in 1951 and originally recorded on Verve Records. And in this tune, the Bird takes the standard 12-bar blues form, and what he does is he inserts his own chord changes that offers up a really cool harmonic canvas for the jazz soloist. And more importantly, these Parker changes, as they became known, became the foundational musical grammar for the bebop revolution that Blues for Alice heralded. And now, without getting too technical jazz theory-wise, these Parker changes show up again on Parker's classic Touchstone Standard Confirmation. So Blues for Alice, which I just played, is a great way to get your chops up to speed for confirmation. But more importantly, on a cultural level, at least to me, when you listen to Blues for Alice, it's as if Charlie is saying to the world, here I am, and here we are. You must take note, ignore us at your peril, folks. A new world is coming. And indeed, a new world arrived, first musically, then culturally, and finally politically, and we are all living in it. So welcome, folks, to another installment of Rebel Without Applause, coming to you, as always, from my movie studio apartment right here in the wood of the sweltering holly, under the sign overlooking the enchanted land of La. And I have just spent the better part of this very humid July morning watching Mr. Mueller's coming out party on television. First impression, Mueller makes Joe Just the Facts Friday look like a gay lap dancer. This guy is so buttoned down, so by the book, so in his lane. Well, it's almost comical, but well, it really isn't comical. It's deadly serious. Still, I have to say this, devoid of the theatrics that so many were hoping for and expecting, the core truths of his inquiry shine clear. Sure, he did not indict because he couldn't indict. The rules forbid it. His hands were tied, but still facts are facts. It would be no different than if, let's say, for instance, I described a guy getting out of a car, putting on a ski mask, pulling out a gun, walking into a liquor store, approaching the cash register. The guy behind the counter opens the register and hands the guy a wad of cash. The guy dashes out of the liquor store and speeds away. Now, I don't have to say this guy is guilty of armed robbery. Why? Because I described the actions in detail. The criminal behavior is self-evident within the actions. The facts are the facts. And so is the criminality described in the Mueller report. It's all there, plain as day. Now it's up to Nancy to get down to biz, but I doubt she will. She's too much the calculator and the triangulator to dive into that bonfire. So much for that for now. The shit show will continue whether I talk about it or not, so whatever, I soldier on, trying to stay true to my ideals. Who knows? Maybe there's another screenplay lurking within me waiting to get out. And I must say this, folks, as a screenwriter, you spend the best part of your creative life trying to build characters with depth and nuance. You kill yourself to give your heroes pasts that resonate into the present, because in movie land, past is always prologue, and character is always the sum total of action. If we, as screenwriters, set something up, we are morally obligated by the storytelling movie gods to pay it off. So what do? We stuff our characters' closets with ghosts, peccadillos, and trauma. And then when the timing is right, those ghosts, peccadillos, and traumas jump out of our characters' closets at the worst moment. And before they are able to defeat the real-life adversaries that stand in their way, they have to do battle with those, inner demons. That's the stuff of drama. And for us screenwriters, that's where the gut-killing creative work lives. Think of fist-slamming typewriters and floors filled with wadded balls of paper. Think shattered laptops and empty bottles of tequila strewn across a messy floor. Think of struggle and sweat and tears in the lonely confines of our little workspaces. And then think of the sublime triumphs of that struggle, like Jake Gittes in Chinatown, or Luke Skywalker in Star Wars, or Superman in Superman, or better yet, Jack Lemmon in Billy Wilder's The Apartment, which is my favorite movie of all time. Besides, of course, the movie I wrote and directed, The Solar Opposite, which I invite you to check out when you can. Either way, the most compelling of our movie heroes have to face down their private demons before they can ever aim their arrows at their real flesh and blood adversaries that inhabit the movies. And those flesh and blood adversaries, by that I mean the bad guys, the villains, those mustache-twisting movie meanies that spread evil and destruction. Well, we screenwriters also kill ourselves to make those folks real too. Draft after draft, rewrite after rewrite, we anguish over how to give our movie meanies depth and ballast. Because we know from the top of our brain to the depth of our hearts that movie meanies are human too. Movie meanies have souls. Nobody's just a meanie for mean's sake, cruel for cruel's sake. That's just not real. It's not believable. That's just cardboard cutout cartoon crap. That's one-dimensional. It's fucking amateur. So we screenwriters remind ourselves every day that movie meanies have moms and girlfriends and sisters and wives. If our movie meanie kicks a dog, it's not just because they hate our four-legged best friends. No, it's because they were probably bitten by another dog when they were little. The trauma of that bite still haunts, it still hurts. We know that somewhere in the backwater of their psyche, the dog that bit them when they were walking to kindergarten still rages rabid with fury inside their wounded little soul. And moreover, we screenwriters, we underappreciated masters of the movie universe, we know movie meanies get lonely and sad and insecure. And when nobody is looking, movie meanies can even be frail, vulnerable, and prone to tantrum-filled fits of grief. Because when you cut a well-crafted movie meanie open, you see that even more than their good guy adversaries, movie meanies are really just victims. They're victims of society or of their parents or of that dog that bit them on their way to kindergarten, which occurred on the very same day that their daddies left mommy, and mommy joined the circus and left them with that meanie uncle who abused them till they were old enough to get dumped into that reform school with a sadistic headmaster. And then when they dared protest, they got caged in juvenile hall. And then finally, after some other mishap, they found themselves in the state penitentiary with a cell next to Charlie. By that I mean Charles Manson, where our future movie meanie earned his Ph.D. in movie meaniness. Yep, you could bet the budget of Star Wars that any movie meanie worth his salt was abandoned and betrayed and abused sometime way back when they were hopeful and innocent and pure and good. Because every bleeding heart dramatist knows, from Shakespeare to any hack in a Netflix writer's room, they know that evil is not evil just for evil's sake. Evil is just not born out of nothing. Any half-assed shrink, any two-bit screenwriter knows this. Why? Because it's a frigging law of nature. It's immutable, like gravity or physics or relativity. It's as certain as those south swells raking Malibu. And then, suddenly, without explanation or warning, the real world intrudes. And everything we know or believed is tossed out the window. Sort of like, when Ptolemy's version of the universe yielded to Copernicus, or when centuries later Galileo's conception had to make space for Newton. And then Newton's explanation of gravity yielded to Einstein and relativity, sort of like, when Einstein's worldview had to make room for Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. And for his part, Einstein protested. God does not play dice with the universe, he howled. But then that guy in the wheelchair, what's his name, Stephen Hawking, came along and said that not only does God play dice with the universe, but the whole goddamn cosmos is one big fucking casino. The best we mortals can do with all our equations and theorems and science is, play the odds. So, right now, until the next super genius comes along, it looks like we're all rolling the dice on a cosmic crap table. And for us screenwriters, those dice just came up snake eyes. That's right. A real-world meanie has arrived with no apparent justification, no explanation for his malevolent movie meaniness. This real-world movie meanie is just mean for mean's sake, evil for the sheer fucking fun of being evil. There is no soul to be found, no puddle of vulnerability, no drop of kindness lurking somewhere inside, no dog bite, no invisible hurt, no shattered inner child, no logic, no nothing, just a pulsating red blob. A bottomless abyss of moral nothingness consuming everything in its path, like some nuke-addled alien out of a 1950s-era sci-fi movie. Think Steve McQueen's The Blob, which, by the way, is now available on demand on Turner Classic Movies. Anyway, without digressing too far into the weeds, just like that, everything we as screenwriters ever learned or held dear about character and drama is thrown out the window. Reality has trumped fiction and fantasy and anything we ever thought was true. And as they say in the biz, you just can't write this stuff because you just can't, because it defies logic. There is no wounded inner child, no shattered soul. What we are staring at is just one thing and one thing only. What has occupied the front and center of our national stage is just a black hole of pure meaningless for meaningless sake. Maybe what we're looking at isn't really human at all. That kind of makes sense. This brat boy billionaire bloviating in front of us, this grand dragon, this predator in chief, is just a moving hunk of raging flesh disguised as a human that is metastasized into something so malevolent, so awful, so vile that it can only be classified as, as just an old-fashioned down-home fucking monster. And with monsters, the standard boundaries of character logic no longer apply. They're gone, out the window, poof. Because, true monsters have no soul, no inner child, no conscience, no past that torments, no trauma that cripples. True monsters arrive on our scene from out of the depths of the sea, or the darkness of the jungle, or the outer reaches of our universe. Or, more probably, sometimes these monsters of movie meaniness are of our own making. They are the disastrous consequence of our own experiments with nature. They smash out of our laboratories to wreak havoc on us all. But monsters live by different rules. And the rules this monster lives by are the rules of the merciless predator. It has to kill to eat and eat to kill. And we all watch in stupefied horror as this monster devours and consumes and regurgitates and then devours again, like we're locked in a 1950s-era monster movie. Maybe we should rip a page from the monster's playbook and give him hell. Call out the National Guard or the Army or the Special Forces or those wily Navy SEALs or maybe the Democrats in Congress. Sure, that'll work. Except it hasn't. Not yet, at least. The monster still rages. So what to do? Gee whiz. Sorry, folks, I think I've sort of written myself into a conundrum. Maybe if we pour water on it, it'll dissolve like that witch in The Wizard of Oz. How did they bring down Godzilla? What did they do with Frankenstein or Moby Dick or those creatures in Jurassic Park? And what about King Kong? There's some important similarities at work here with Kong and the Brat Boy. Both came from islands, one from the South Seas, the other Manhattan. Both wreaked havoc and mayhem. But no, King Kong, I don't know, he wasn't really a monster. He was just misunderstood. They should have never brought King Kong to New York. They should have just left him on that South Sea island. Besides, it's an insult to Kong to compare him to this current monster. For all his faults, Kong was kind of cool. He loved that girl. Kong had a soul. This monster has none. Or maybe we should do what Mueller just did with a little help from Adam Schiff and fight fire with facts. Facts placed in a neat order that tell a story that will indict and convict and remove. Maybe that's it. Fight fire with facts. Maybe truth still matters, or maybe it doesn't. Damn, I know there's a satisfying answer somewhere. Folks, I hate to say this, but I'm stuck here. I really need to get back to you on this. I need to break a few laptops and slam back some tequilas and scream at the screenwriting gods. So, till next week, adios, goodbye, and adieu.